episode number 16.
Gorgeous. Smashing through them.
So this is a little different today because I feel naked. So you're basically taking charge of the topic and obviously your top tip.
Yeah.
And I'll let you do the question as well because we've got one from Kelly and one from Best. I'll let you pick.
Oh, we're going to do both? We're just going to do one
I think
today.
one's quite heavy and one's quite light on the question. So depending on what the topic is and how heavy that becomes, maybe we'll do the light-hearted bit.
Fine.
But I'll let you decide that as well.
Okay.
So I have just got the small task of providing the updates, which you told me I bang on too much about.
I just said last time it was long.
I had a lot of updates.
I don't think it was the updates. It was what you were saying about the updates.
Fuck you now. Right, well.
Now I'll set a timer, go.
Now that you're in charge of the show, I have 3 updates, if that's okay.
You're allowed to.
Thank you very much. So when this airs, the Mergs giveaway will be complete and the winner will have been announced. But the follow-up to that is some bits and bobs we're going to be doing with Mergs, which is really exciting. So we're going to be doing like a crossover tea between the two of us. Mm-hmm. So keep an eye out for that. But yeah, thank you if you did join that Mergs giveaway.
I'm excited for that.
Yeah, it's a good one. Our VIP program, again, that will have launched by the time this goes out, but you'll still be able to join. So we've got some amazing partners on board. So when we talked about this VIP program, it's like a subscription model. We wanted to make it actually VIP worthy, not just call it VIP. So rather than it just be about the Defiant code, we've made it about the customer and the person that wants to subscribe, because not only do you get amazing benefits from us, but ESC Sounds are offering a specific discount code just for our VIP members. Built for Athletes are doing the same, and Mergs. And we're waiting to hear back from Fit Aid, but they've shown interest. Matt Tyler programming. I say programming, but I think it's Matt Tyler coaching. But anyway, we're saying Matt Tyler. That's the main thing.
Yeah.
He's doing discounts on his programming.
Nice.
And then we've got some gyms on board that are going to do free drop-ins if you're in the area. So there's some real amazing perks. So check that out. It only went to a select few to start with. So that'll be going out further once those guys have had the opportunity. But we've basically done it first to our invitational guys that have supported us really strongly from day one, but also anyone that's ordered from us in the last 6 months, because obviously they're people that have shown an interest recently. Sorry, too many words, we're good?
No, we're good.
Cool. And then lastly, like the live stream. So
thumbs up. I'm
in the midst of 5 live shows in 5 nights, and then there'll be more next week. So check out the ones gone previous, because I've had Harry Keane on, and he's talked about AOD's semi-final CrossFit Games performances, and we're checking in with him every night to see how they've got on from the workouts throughout the day, because they're all done in affiliate. But then following from this is obviously out now, the following weekend, which is the weekend over the 4th of May, whatever that is. Tom Kingdon is going to be coming on and doing update shows each night, because he's embarking on his individual games bid. So he's doing the semi-finals, and he's going to come on each night and just tell us how he's got on, what the workouts were like, and bits and bobs like that. So in the moment feedback, raw emotion as well, because it is a time when these guys work all year
so hard for
these one specific set of workouts, and we're going to get real in person in time feedback on how they're getting on. So I'm pretty excited. I love doing it for the show, but I'm interested in that anyway. I love having them conversations. So I'm buzzing to chat to Harry, which I've already done when this goes out. It's so awkward, that, isn't it? That's why we need to go live. But yeah, and Tom upcoming. So now, what have I done? Just 4 minutes, and now the show is over to you.
I feel like you're going to come out in a rash. You're going to be all right.
No, I'm quite excited.
So
can you first? So I've already jumped in. Can you tell us before you do this?
Yes.
What's driven this? Because obviously, as we've mentioned, you've been enjoying them recently a little bit more. But when we first started doing the podcast, you were kicking and screaming. You didn't really like it. And now, obviously, you're taking a bit of charge and having ideas. So what do you think is driven that shift?
You joked about it last time, and then a couple of friends that are avid listeners or have been from the beginning said that they don't hear much from my side either. So it'd be interesting to see if I had any topics, what would I talk about? I've always been a very, very, very private person. So talking about anything to do with me and my life, I've just never, ever done it. And that was the reason, or how this topic came to fruition, if you like. Recently, I've been reading a couple of really interesting books and spending some time on my own, as in like quiet time. So
it's
not like me at all. I was listening to a podcast, one of the Diary of a, what's it called?
CEO.
Thank you, Diary of a CEO. And there was a doctor on there, and he was saying that he makes his, like, whether you call it patients, stare at a wall, because what comes to light in 5 minutes, 15 minutes, or even an hour is really enlightening to the busyness, emotions, and everything that you dive into within yourself. So I was like, actually, I'm going to try this. Bearing in mind, I think the first one lasted about 60 seconds, and that was good for me. But I'll explain a little bit more when we go into this. So the title is "Who Are You Without Work and the Pressure of Having It All Figured Out." What do you think?
Is that a question, or is that just what do I think your title?
Well, I'm going to ask you similar questions. So I've done a little bit of topic base and split it up a little bit. So
say again.
What the title? Who are you without work
and
the pressure of having it all figured out?
Okay.
Okay. So the first bit I wanted to explore was the identity trap. So how easy it is to let work become your personality. Now, I think you're going to have your own story on this, but I'm going to give you a little snapshot as to how mine has changed, and people that I know very well, and I've watched it happen in real time with close friends and family. That obviously started out in hospitality. I think I've referenced that before, and went into sort of, well, yeah, hospitality was the first, so hotels. So drinker, smoker, never sleeping. That was basically who I was and how I lived my life, because all my friends did that, and it was conducive to that type of lifestyle. Then I went into sort of wedding and events planning, and again, parties, drinking, all that sort of stuff. So that was very much part of my personality. Then went into corporate, and that was the time, which I think I've referenced before, that I did the biggest jump of self-discovery in that, because you were forced to figure out in a dog-eat-dog world what you wanted, how you were going to go about it, and I think what your values really stood for. Were you someone that was going to step on others to get to where you wanted to be? Some people obviously would do anything in order to climb a ladder. And it was very enlightening for me that obviously I'd gone from small boutique type hotels to something that was massive and infinite, well, almost infinite. What's the word? Like levels of progression that you could make. And it turns out I wouldn't step on anyone to get where I wanted to be. I wanted to be fully realized and grow on my own merit. So that within that year was the biggest self-discovery. And that's when I came up with what I wanted to do, how I envisaged my life. And I think I referenced it last time. That I feel like I'm now finally living it. Anyway, then went into the gym, and obviously we built Ely Fitness, me and Ed. So then that was a really difficult shift for me, because I was still the drinker, smoker at the very, very beginning. And I had all of that, but while I was telling and living a healthy life. So I then did a massive shift. So started going to the gym, and then there was that transition period, but I never really let go of the fact that I still like to have a good time. So I was like, so I wanted a bit of everything. But at that time we were both very, very young. And when you came out of the qualification, it was like, you need to do this, you need to turn people around quickly, in and out the door, get them to lose a load of weight, get 6 packs. And it was all very much driven like that. So you kind of come out living like the textbook tells you. And then you change and you do what you believe to be right, which now I believe what Ely Fitness is now is very much what we embody, that you can have it all if you want to. You don't have to go and kill yourself. You don't have to do that. You can do if you want to, but it's not how we live our lives. So it's very hard to then tell other people. There are a lot of people a lot better at that than we are, but if you're going to go in and want to go shredded or be stage ready. So it then becomes part of who you are and what you do. So I do feel like now I'm going through the biggest shift, and it's a cumulative of everything that I've done, but leaning into spending time at figuring out exactly who I am, what my personality is without work, and what I want to do. So yeah, it was a big realization. What about you? The identity trap and how easy it is to let work be part of your personality? Because you've talked about it a lot, that your social life has basically been Defiant Co for 5 years.
Yeah. It's interesting, isn't it, that before I go on to my shit, that you say you've recently managed to start doing those things.
What things?
Those things that you talk about, like
Spending time
for you and doing what you want in order to make you better.
Mm-hmm.
And that is like almost a complete matching line of trajectory of the amount of business you're acquiring and how well you're doing. Like it shows, doesn't it, that like people can say it's just words and all that, but you're a very real life example. You were doing well, and then since you took a step back almost to go 10 steps forward, everything's going in the right direction. So it just shows that that actually does have substance in what you're saying. So you can exist on a steady curve and think you're doing well, but are you really fulfilling your potential until you really
100%
channel your inner you?
And I want to dig a bit deeper in that, but first, go on. What's the answer?
Just say it again, because I'm like processing in real time. You know, I take a minute.
The identity trap. How easy is it to let work become your personality?
See, I don't know. I have a very different lens to you on this, because I have a life where I only do what I want to do, and I don't mean that in a selfish way. I have no dependence. I have no responsibilities outside of what I determine to be my responsibilities.
Mm-hmm.
And at the moment, work is my identity because I want it to be. It's not out of necessity. I love working. I love what I do. I love the community that we're within. And like you said, it's been my identity for a while, even before I really doubled down on it, because every weekend I was out with the shop. So I don't know. I feel like that can be framed in a negative way if you don't have an identity outside of it because you're not capable of having one, almost, you know. But I feel like I am. I just don't want anything outside of work right now. Like, apart from my small trip onto the dating sites where fucking hell, I'll not be back there for a while. But yeah, you know what I mean? It's like, I don't know. I don't mind my identity being work for a while. I don't mind if people look at me and go, "Oh, all he does is work." Yeah, well, all you do is fuck all. I don't, because my identity before it became what it is now, which arguably is work. Because even this, it's work, it's fun, but it's work. So I have more fun working than I do having fun. So, you know, my identity before was party boy, be out all night getting fucked up. That's not a great identity, but people like gravitated to that more than they do to his work's his identity. So yeah, I think that my life is all by design. And until anything comes in that significantly changes, because I just plan to double down and work and work and work. And if someone wants to say that, oh, his identity is work, then yeah, it fucking is. And I want it to be. So
yeah, I like that. And I couldn't agree more. Couldn't agree more. So when I was thinking about, like you say, we do look at it through a very different lens. How, I don't know whether it's it could be a more female thing or whatever, however you want to look at it. But I know a lot of people do have a very similar thought process of like what feels like the pressure cooker of having it figured out, having it all figured out, when on the surface, even if you see people that don't really know you, you're like, how are you? Yeah, great. Yeah, what do you do? All the surface level stuff, you need to look like you've got your shit together. Whereas underneath, and that is very much me, and you'll be able to back that up, that I've always got like a swan-like top and my legs are frantically going underneath, trying to figure everything out as we go, and I'm barely holding it together. But there are a lot of people that may know me that don't think that would be the case until you know me.
And when you know you're not a fucking swan at all.
Literally the furthest thing from it. I'm literally the little legs underneath it, running around in circles, literally barely holding it together. And that's why I wanted to go into that, because I was like, this time that I spent thinking about it, I was like, why am I like that? And then, as you do, obviously you are a product of your upbringing, because obviously it's your surroundings, the people you spend the most time with, the people that you get taught life lessons with. And my mum is exactly the same, for exactly the same reason. Like front mate, what's it called, like maitre d' style, everything's always fine, but then underneath it is just
chaos,
constantly, absolutely constantly. And that was becoming more and more apparent as she's getting older. And then when I was with her the other day, I was like, just chill. Like, what are you doing?
It's the chaos creeping in
age.
It's
just, honestly, bless her. And she's busier than she's ever been. So she no longer looks calm on the surface. So her feet are like flipped upside down.
She's just a standard mallard now. She ain't a swan.
So she is very, very much the same. And you do tend to be a product of the people that you spend the most time with. And obviously that was my upbringing. And obviously the big accident that I've referred to before that my dad had, ever since then, it was almost like we doubled down in the fact that family unit was, right, we're on the outside, everything's fine. But on the inside, everything was just mental, absolutely mental. And I will tell the story because I think I was telling you and it made you laugh the other day, that the house that we lived in at the time that my dad had the accident hadn't got mains water. So it was fed from the spring, but it was 4 stories tall, the house that we lived in. So we used to have to share a bath, the 5 of us, and then that bath water had to fill up all the toilet cisterns on every floor to flush the night's worth. So that's how like the first.
I didn't know you grew up in the 60s.
So you know when they say, "Oh, you won't remember," and I was like, "Yeah, no, I do.
I fucking remember that, baby."
And they used to have like a water butt outside that did the toilets during the day. So we used to have to water can all the way to the top, fill up the toilet system to flush the toilet, and then share bath
I'd have
water.
just shit outside, I reckon.
I mean, I was 8.
Well,
so if
even
that's what
better,
we
even better.
if that was what's happening, that was just the way we lived our life. So yeah, that's why it made me laugh because I thought about it. I was like, well, that's exactly what it is. It's how I've learned that everything's been fine on the front. I frantically panic underneath. And then what made me realize recently is where I think a lot of people would relate to this is feeling like you've got your shit together. It becomes extremely apparent when you have a child. So when I had Oscar and I was sat at home and I could barely keep myself together, let alone me and a child, that when they need you as much as they do, and the downtime, say when they're feeding and you're scrolling on the or social media, and everyone obviously only posts the right bit, the best bits, that almost broke me. And I was like, I don't even know because I'm surrounded, or it's not even that I'm looking into it or would say I would be overly influenced, but when you're feeling obviously your body, your emotions, your hormones, everything's on the down, especially just after birth, that when you're faced with that, you just think you're failing in every which way. So I came off it then and have never been back on it. Well, I'm on it for work, but not really been back on it since. And I feel like that pressure of 24/7 looking like you've got your shit together and that you're doing the best things and your kid's doing really well and this, that, and the other, I feel like there is a massive pressure cooker with that.
Who is that? Who do you feel that pressure from, though?
You don't. It's what you impart on yourself.
Exactly. So if you're aware that that's what you're doing, just
it's the mindset.
Don't do it. It'd be my advice.
Easier said than done. Well, I didn't do it. I came off social media and I was like, well, why am I even putting myself in that position?
I have a thing about people that come off social media.
Go on.
Well, you haven't addressed the problem. Like, social media is not making you miserable. You're making yourself miserable by looking at things and creating this false narrative in your head. Social media is an amazing tool and is fun. And like, you can see scaring videos and memes and political nonsense, whatever you want. Like, when people come off social media to fix their lives, it's just like, I don't know. It's like putting a plaster on a broken leg, innit? You're not fixing the root of the problem. You're just removing one of the things that you're making it about. So I always just find that strange, because if you feel the pressure of external influencers, they exist all over. Social media is a more condensed version. It's easy accessible, so I understand that. But unless you become, I don't know, okay with who you are, coming off Instagram ain't going to change your life. And you know what? I'm not saying you, because you weren't on it. But then there's all them fucking idiots that go, oh, I'm coming off social media, but have got a work profile and spend all day scrolling on that, and you see them online. I'm like, are you fucking wet or what? Like, what are you even doing? That winds me up. So it's like, I don't know. I just think people blame social media for a lot of things that are their own fault. It's their own responsibility to fix. They need to take accountability for their own shit. And if you looking at someone posting the holiday pics on social media makes you feel under pressure to have a perfect life, then you will never have a perfect life. And that person's holiday pics make no fucking difference. You're just blaming that because you've got unresolved issues.
I think there is an area for what you've just said. I agree. But my pushback would be, it wasn't to fix my problems. It was to focus.
That's different.
It is.
But that, how you framed it a second.
But that's what it's almost like, right, I need to do this. I'm going to take away all my distractions.
Yeah.
So all those distractions, or because I would say it was more of a focus, like I say, a focus shift rather than a fix. I was spending time not giving it to Oscar by scrolling.
Yeah.
So that was one of them. And then the second one, obviously people's bodies look different. So if I'm spending there going, oh, I need to get to the gym, I need to go on a walk, I want to go on a podcast, I want to make myself better. So my time on my phone needs to be spent doing all those things, not looking at what other people are doing. So it became more about, and you know, we've especially done it with work, the more distractions you can get rid of, and you can double down, like we've spoken about the 90 minutes, we've spoken about all of those things.
Well, even having notifications off on your phone and stuff like that. Definitely.
That was essentially what I was doing with social media. So while I was spent, because even it wasn't like I was sat there going, oh my God, she looks great. Oh my God, that's great. Oh my God. It was just the subliminal messaging of everyone's best bits. It's like a highlight reel. And I agree with you with regards to the fact that there's great bits on there, memes, news to some degree.
It's fun.
You love it, and you love sharing parts of your life, and it holds you accountable for a lot of the stuff you do. And you love imparting your opinion.
But also, I'm not offended by other people's success or beauty or views. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. That's why I love social media. I don't go on hardly as much as I used to, but like I like it. Like I'll have a scroll in the morning while I'm in bed, see what's happening. Then when I'm having my lunch, and then again at night usually. Yeah. But like, I don't know. I'm
not saying it's a bad thing.
Oh no, and like the thing you mentioned about bodies and that, and people seeing other things and then feeling inferior and all that. That's another thing that needs to be addressed outside of social media. I'm not saying you did that, but if you see someone with an amazing body, and not one that's been airbrushed, because that's just that's unnecessary. But I don't think even when I'm a fat fucker, I don't think I've ever seen a picture of someone with a six pack and thought anything other than fucking hell, unit. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, because I just feel like if you're offended by someone's hard work to look great, then you are the problem, not the person that's worked hard to be the best version of themselves. And if they determine that to be shredded, then fair play. It's fucking hard work.
Oh, it's really hard.
So yeah.
But I wasn't referring to that.
I know you were.
Post-baby bodies that bounce back and suddenly they've got no leftover belly. I'm talking about that, not because obviously I understand that going to the gym's hard. It's that bit. So like being able to feed, for example, and I am talking, like I say, they are very different lenses for the reason that I said you aren't giving birth anytime soon. So
well, you don't know. It's a brave new world.
So then when I was thinking about it, it made me think, okay, so now, obviously in this time that I'm doing, what does success actually look like? So take away the external metrics that people measure you by. The car that you drive, the body that you live in, the, I don't know, the job that you have, the money that you earn, anything, all of those, outside of those external metrics, what did I believe success to truly be? And that was a really, really, really difficult question to answer, because what I found really interesting when I thought about it is what I was always like we were never abundant with money. And I think I've said to you before, like my mum taught me at a young age to buy a meal for £5 on next to nothing on those, where all the baked bean tins look like they've been through hell and back.
It's a weird one though, isn't it? You're not abundant with money. Like you had to flush your own toilets, but you lived in a 4-story house.
I know. It was because we wasn't paid after the accident.
Yeah, I know.
And then it all went Pete Tong. So I'd lived both sides. But like learning that side of it, and then I was thinking, so then you get driven. I was driven by money for a while. Yeah. Then I was driven by enjoyment, and then I was thinking about what is now really interesting, and I feel like you're going to have quite a bit to say about what I'm about to say.
Shock.
Not like you. The wins financially. So say you get a big contract, and I think we referenced it last time. I had a mini celebration about winning one of my biggest contracts like last week or the week before. And then I had another one again recently, and I was like, and that feeling didn't feel the same. And I was like, I wonder why. And then anyway, when I was thinking about it, and I was like, do you know what I got a kick off that week was one of my clients saying I was extreme value for money.
Sounds like too cheap. Too cheap there.
Extreme value for money. Someone that said about their gross margin improving as much as they did, and someone saying what a pleasure I was to work with, and the way that we talked about it, and I'd helped her in her personal life as well as a work life, and the coaching side that I absolutely love, and that's my favorite bit. And then I realized that that's my drive, like coaching people, helping people become better versions of themselves. And if that helps personally as well as professionally, that's why this journey that I'm pushing myself into so much now is going to make me a better coach, because I want to get better. I don't think you can ever reach utopia yourself. I think there's always room for growth and improvement, even if it's by 1%. That this time of reflection, I was like, those are the bits that are giving me the kick. And you and I had a conversation yesterday, and you were saying on the phone a couple of things that have happened to you recently from all the hard work that no one ever sees, but based on a couple of people saying certain things, but about you as a person, the money or the pound sign or the revenue or all of that almost becomes it was nothing in comparison to the conversations I had previously, to the ones that you were like, someone said this, someone's wanting to do this, they want to work together for this, etc., etc. And I was like, I feel that value for me is what is driving me. So that's my worth. It's not the money, it's not what you drive, it's not what you buy, it's all those bits. It's that bit that I'm actually helping other people in life and business. What do you think, based on what I said on the conversation we had yesterday?
It's interesting, isn't it? Because it depends how you think about that. Because I would say that we don't do stuff for free. So it's hard to, when you find a career that you love and that gives you fulfillment, it's still a career. And I guess the question is, if you fucking, I don't know, won £1 billion, I don't know if that's possible, would you still be fucking on these calls every day, fucking moaning about, not you moaning, but like, I would go high level trying to sort shit out. You know what I mean? So when we talk about like what drives you, if what drives you is the feeling of helping someone, then that would be a very real feeling, regardless of whether it was a job or not. So I'm not saying that is the case or not, but I know for a fact that like most people, they'll say those words and then maybe even not live them correctly, or like, win £1 million and then quit. So it's like the driver in some capacity always has to be a freedom in your life that is like desirable, and mostly that freedom comes from money, and success breeds money. But also, I guess freedom is in itself like what we all desire in any way. So how can you acquire freedom without the things that come with, So, but again, similar to what you were saying, or on the topic of what you were saying, again, in the last sort of whatever short period of time, 3 to 6 months, that you've really started to implement those things that you're telling people to implement in yourself, everything's gone up. So it's almost like self-replicating then, because you're actually showing that actually, if I do all the stuff I'm telling everyone else to do, everything gets better.
Yeah.
And that's a good example of that, I guess. But I don't know. So what does success look like to me? I would say it looks like freedom.
Yeah, I think there are two different questions though, because I agree. I do think like money and everything gives you a reason for life, and there is a reason that we work. And you say if you won £1 million tomorrow, would you still work? 100% I'd still work.
Yeah,
you'd never be able to stop me.
$1 billion.
Yeah, I'd still work. I love it. I absolutely love it.
Yeah, I guess.
And I think you'd say the same.
Yeah, I would, but like it looked very different.
It would look different. I'm not denying that at all. And I think even on the podcast I was referring to with Stephen Bartlett on the Diary of the CEO, he said the same. He went to Bali to do nothing and rest, and he wrote a book. You just can't, if you are naturally like that, then you are going to you'll always earn money, because it's just the way that you are, because you're driven in certain ways. And we've always said that you'll always find a way. But it's, for me, I was looking at, where do I feel that certain feeling where I'm like, somewhat that success, where it's like a win. Money will follow. Money has to follow. I know I've got a bucket list that I'm currently in the process of writing, which obviously requires money to do. So money has to be, and yes, freedom, but I would still work. I was more thinking about that feeling of success, or where you realize that's my value. That's where I'm good.
Okay.
So it was that. So I think they're two different questions, because I definitely agree with you. But it was the other one about that successful feeling.
So when do I have that feeling?
Yeah.
I like it when people tell me I'm good at shit. It doesn't matter who it is. And I mean that. It doesn't matter who it is. Well, it does to a point, because I guess to a complete imbecile, everyone looks good, don't they? But they don't know they're an imbecile, I suppose. So. But yeah, there's certain things that I do in my day job and in this, that I have pride in. And I guess it's that. It's not when someone tells me I'm good at something. It's when someone tells me I'm good at something that I have pride in.
Mhm.
It gives me a feeling that I can't explain. It's maybe similar to what you're saying. And maybe that's the difference between us. You get that feeling from outwardly projecting that onto others.
Yeah.
I get that feeling when people compliment me for something that I've done that's outwardly helped others.
Yeah.
But it's not. It sounds very selfish, but it's that feeling it gives me when someone acknowledges something that I've done.
Yeah.
Like someone messaged me recently after listening to one of the podcasts saying that I was very smart because of how I think about things and how I approach things, and take the smart bit out, which I love being called, but like I would take more of a compliment, and it's how you think about things and how you understand things, because I think that in today's world is a skill to be able to like take points of view, put your own spin on them, deliver them and chat about them. So that kind of stuff I love. I like, when I've done stuff with Defiant, and because I think a lot of you, and like professionally and personally a bit of a dick, but when I've impressed you in a professional capacity and you've told me that, I'm like, thanks. I think you see a different side to me. Or like, when we've worked with other people and they've said it. So that for me, I get that. I don't know. I like to work hard, but then I also like to be acknowledged for working hard, if that makes sense. But I don't work hard to be acknowledged. But when that happens as a consequence of it, I do like that, because I think what it is, now I'm exploring this in real time. You're doing good at it. I have this thing of people being aware. It's one of the things that, like when we drove somewhere and I've got mad at a driver and you've got road rage, I'm like, I'm not mad. It's just people are so blissfully unaware of everything outside of their existence that they'll just pull out traffic lights and nearly kill everyone. It's fine. So I'm the only person in the world, someone cuts across you when you're walking, like, and it's that kind of, my belief is that one of the main problems with humanity and society is the fact that everyone's don't give a fuck about anyone except themselves. So in order for you to be able to acknowledge things around you, whether that's driving, working, anything, you have to be aware. So when someone acknowledges me for doing something, it maybe isn't even the fact that they've acknowledged me for doing that thing. It's the fact that they're aware enough to see that things exist outside of their sphere. And when people do that, it restores my faith in humanity. When someone cuts across me, whatever that's driving or walking, then immediately turns around and goes, "Oh, sorry." I'm like, I like that person so much, because we all make mistakes, but be aware enough to know that you're not the only person in the world. So like, maybe that's why when people do say stuff to me, it's like, oh, they've actually noticed that I was doing that thing. And
I remember you saying about someone who said about how many events you'd been to.
Yeah, just that. God, you're at an event every weekend. I'm like, oh.
Yes, I am.
But you know what I mean? It's it's a thankless task, stuff like that. But like when people notice, and especially when it comes to work, and I think we're all like that, because I think the only people that really truly acknowledge people that work hard are people that work hard. You know what I mean? Because there'll be people, them idiots that are like, "Oh, you're not going to the gym while you're on holiday." Well, that's because you never go to a gym. You know what I mean? You don't understand that that's just part of what people like to do. They like to work hard. And it's the same, like anyone that's a grafter notices people that work hard, whatever capacity that's in. I've got people on socials that I don't know that well. I know they work hard, and I've got an admiration for them without ever really knowing them. Because
how do you know they work hard?
Well, I don't know. It's just a highlight, really, and maybe they just post all the fucking pictures. But I think you can tell people. I think when you've been around it enough, around people and pay enough attention, you can tell those that are faking it and those that are.
You think?
Yeah, I'd like to think so. There'll always be some that slip through because there's some good fakers out there, but I think And then in meeting people, I feel like people that are busy never really say they're busy, do they? They just work.
They say if you ever want to get anything done, ask a busy person.
And that's for that, isn't it? The only people that are busy are the people that do fuck all. You know what I mean?
Too busy to do anything.
Yeah, and I've made that a sort of two of the things that I try never to say, and sometimes I catch myself in the moment because it's habitual, is I haven't got time, or what's the other one? It's not my fault. Every time you feel those words come into your mouth, try and stop, because you've got time to do anything you want. You just haven't made time. So if you want to say, I can't make time. I don't want to. Or I don't want to. And it's the same with it's not my fault. The moment you start saying it's not my fault, just stop, because like,
everything's your fault.
Yeah, and especially in a customer point of view, if a customer comes to you as the person that sold something to that customer, and it isn't because of something you've done that you failed that customer, it doesn't fucking matter. That customer's contract is with you. So if your fucking supplier or Royal Mail or fucking whoever the fuck it is has fucked it up, then it's on you. So it's okay to acknowledge that, but it's not about shifting blame, and that's where the fault. And yeah, I haven't got time, I think.
No, I agree. I do agree. One of the things that, like you just said about being busy, the book that I'm reading at the minute, one of the titles, one of the chapters was Unlearn to Learn. And I really liked that because I was like, that is so true. I need to unlearn being busy in order to learn more about myself. And anyone who knows me or has known me, especially for the previous probably 4 or 5 years, I mean, even my closest friends would joke they'd need to book me 3 to 6 months in advance in order to see me.
My theory on that is that I've said it to you before. I think you maybe didn't have the fulfillment overall that you do now because you're now becoming the person that you've maybe always wanted to be.
Maybe.
So,
but I decided this before I'd even decided that. So I was unlearning to like fill because I didn't want to spend time on my own. I didn't want to look inwards.
But that's what I mean. Now that you're on I don't want to say you would, because you were on the right path before. You were always doing good things and you were family oriented and you did well in your jobs and stuff like that. But now it's like you're doing all that, but with purpose.
Something was missing.
Yeah, now you have that.
Yeah.
It's like you can be on your own because you need time on your own.
Everybody does. And I would have said that wasn't true previously. And I said, time on my own is my worst nightmare. My sister used to do it all the time. She used to absolutely love it. And she was like, oh my God, I get the night to myself. I'm going to have a bath. I'm going to do this. And I said, that sounds awful. Like, I couldn't think of anything worse.
You're just thinking of bath from old days, aren't you?
The fifth round. Yeah. Whereas now, like, it was really interesting. Obviously, the time that I've spent and what I'm currently working on is everything that I want to do and achieve. And that purely, which time on my own, or even if it's 10 minutes, 15 minutes. So I'm like, not because I should do or because someone wants me to or I feel like I have to. What do I actually want to do?
Yeah.
And that's where, call it a pivot in life, age realization. And funnily enough, I had an interesting conversation with Bess this morning. She listened to Lance's podcast and she was like, it made me feel better. She didn't realise he was as old as he was. And I said, I remember when I first found out, he looks very good for his age. And then she said, it's so nice to hear that him at that age is only just trying to now figure out what he wants from life. And that the 20, looking like you've got your shit figured out is nice to hear when other people don't. And she was like, even, he's now figuring out what he wants to do or what he wants from life. And, are we always doing that? So that's why at the moment I'm spending that time to go, what do I want from my life? Where do I want to go? What do I want to do? What do I want to see? And it's been really, really, really interesting. And the list is growing.
You should not calling out Best for saying that, but if you attribute your journey or path or success to what other people are doing, again, that's just setting up for failure, isn't it? So even though she's framed that positively, I would say I feel better knowing that he's not got his shit together. Why?
No, only just now trying to figure out from life. I don't think it was him having his shit together.
I think what you have to accept in life, and this isn't a dig, what I'm saying is, what you have to accept in life is it's ever changing. And if you judge yourself by the same standard over and over again, you'll never have your shit together because tomorrow is different to today and the next day will be different to that. So you've got to live in an ever-changing state to be able to deal with what life throws at you. So to think that, he's 40 and he's not got his shit together, that makes me feel better.
No,
I don't mean like that, but you know what I mean? I'm like saying
no,
I just think that we're all making it up as we go along. And that's what you have to do. So we've got, you've got your job, you've got your career, you've got this and the things that you have to do. But 18 months ago, I wasn't working my bollocks off like I am now, but I was happy with my life as it was at that moment. So if I look back, it's easy for me to say I weren't doing the right things and all this, that and the other. And then, now I feel like I am. But who's to say in 18 months, I'll have found another level. And then I'll look back at what I'm doing now and say, fucking hell, I weren't doing the right things. So
I don't think that's what she meant. I think that's like saying, what do you want to be when you grow older? And then thinking it back when you were at school and then not achieving that. It's just more getting to this age and then going, what do I want from life? It's not what do you want to be when you grow up. It's now, what do I want from life?
Yeah, but that's so that okay. Question, but everybody's doing that. Everybody should be doing that. So it shouldn't be like, I feel like I shouldn't be doing that because everyone should, surely. That's the point.
Figuring out what they want from life?
Yeah, because it'll change. Like,
it always changes. It's forever evolving.
That's what I mean. So you shouldn't put yourself under pressure to feel like you have to have everything figured out, is what I was trying to say, I guess. Maybe not too well, because what you want tomorrow might be different to what you want today, and that's okay, because that's just life, isn't it?
But that's why the topic was called the pressure of having it all figured out.
Yeah, but that's the thing, I guess. So I don't have that. I don't feel like
you don't, but a lot of people do.
Yeah, but that's okay, I guess, if that's how they deal with shit.
But that's what I was saying, and that's why I wanted to talk about it, because it is the pressure of feeling like you've got your shit together.
But who's that? That's what I don't understand.
It's societal pressure.
Yeah, but that's when I struggle, because I'm like,
no, but you don't. You
don't
conform. That is true.
Yeah, Defiant. It isn't societal pressure, because everybody out there, nobody gives a fuck what you're doing. Nobody. The only person that gives a fuck about you really is you.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like, you think, oh, I've got to do this because of what they might think, or I've got to do this because it's the right. No one gives a fuck. I read in a book the other day, this guy was like in the mirror for ages, and his grandma saw him, and she said to him, nobody cares what you look like other than you. Just get out. And they used it in the context because it was talking on a subject similar to this. It's like, nobody cares. So this societal pressure isn't societal. It's your pressure that you're putting on yourself and then blaming on society, who does not give a fuck about you.
It is absolutely the pressure. But you'll say like, oh, I need to put it on because I haven't done this for this day. So I need
go on. What's that?
You know, was it about a bike ride? And I can't remember where we were, and you were like,
what bike?
Oh God, I can't remember.
No, when you do
the C2 bike, the one that you never leave. And I can't remember where we were. And you're like, people think I'm not doing it.
I think I've probably said that in a sort of
joking way.
I think, but again, I feel like I'm different in that, because
you are different in that.
No, what I mean is, I do that to hold myself accountable, but it's like almost it's an accountability. I don't feel the pressure of that. It's just an accountability. So if you can use what we deem societal pressure as motivation as opposed to hindrance, then I guess then it could be a positive, because that's the problem. If you feel the weight of expectation from people that aren't even looking at you, then that is a problem. But if you're just doing it to hold yourself to account, I think that's two very different things.
You think?
Definitely.
Okay.
Because if I don't do something, I don't care what people think. But if I do something, I want them to see it.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
In your world, yeah.
Well, yeah, but I don't feel pressure. I don't give a fuck. I don't care.
But you want everyone to know about it.
Yeah.
So you want people to give a little bit of a fuck if you're doing something.
Yeah, but like if I don't, it doesn't impact me.
But that's my point.
Yeah, but that's the difference that's hard to sort of differentiate for people, because people feel societal pressure, and that when you word that like that, that's a negative.
It's definitely not a negative.
Of course it is.
No, it's not. It's not a bad thing to want to do that. And I agree with you. And I think the whole point of me talking about this is the time to figure out exactly who you are without those external values, without that external pressure. And a lot of people don't do that, because we do live in a world where everyone's lives are readily available to look into.
Yeah, but I think then the terminology is wrong, because when you say external pressure...
No, I said values. The external, they're where people are saying what car you drive, what job you do, that type of thing, what you train, how often you train. So those external values of what people attribute to that, I'm saying it's more that.
I don't know, because when you talk about societal pressure, that is a negative. The way you frame that and the way that people will always feel that is negative. No one feels societal pressure in a positive way. The moment you feel pressure from outside of your sphere, that is only negative. Or that's how it's framed.
Well, it depends how it's fueled by you. Because if you like,
yeah, but then you don't feel it's. But that's what I'm saying, and that's why I'm struggling with this example you used of me posting something on Instagram, because maybe it's the same, but I don't feel it as pressure, because I think pressure on you is by definition a negative thing. People don't respond well generally to pressure. Like some people do, but you know what I mean. So when you say the societal pressure, I think that most people that talk about societal pressure are talking about it in a negative way. They're not talking in a positive way. You know, if you showed a picture of a six-pack to fucking 100 people, 95 of the fannies would feel societal pressure. It's not my fault. I can't look like that. And 5% would feel the same, but fucking hell, I'm going to look like that. And it's so the pressure is negative, the pressure is positive, but mostly people see pressure as a negative, and that's why they struggle in life and in anything really.
Yeah, okay.
Because life's not easy. There will be a certain element of pressure to it, and if you're not capable of dealing with that, then you're never going to succeed or be happy anyway.
I do agree. Which actually, I'm going to go swiftly on Torie's top tip before we
Are we
argue about
shut
this for over
down?
10 minutes. That there was, again, in part of this book I'm reading, which has been very enlightening, that my top tip is there are certain people, and everyone does the same, that we look up to, but we don't look into them. And I found that really, really interesting, because it would be like, again, the highlight reels of people's lives, or what the synopsis or Wikipedia says about one person. We look up to them because of what they've achieved, or how they look, or how they've lost a load of weight, or how they juggle parenthood and work, or how they travel, all sorts. But we don't look into them. And I found that really, really interesting. So I was training with a girl at the gym last week, and she mentioned her uncle. And she literally flashed a phone case at me. And she was like, oh yeah, my uncle did this business. And the reason that we got chatting about it and why I found him so interesting is because he got a prosthetic, he built or invested in a prosthetic mold company. So the reason I went to go and look at it is to figure out, obviously, because my dad's really struggling with his prosthetic leg. That was the reason that I first started looking into him. But then I started to look at all the other bits that he'd started to post about. And I was like, God, he's had such an interesting life. He'd got a failed bar. He'd done crowdfunding for the company that she showed me. And then it's shown up on my Instagram everywhere. And it's brilliant what he's done. The growth that he's done, the things that he's invested in, like I say, this prosthetic or this mold business that he's doing now. And then when I started to look into it, and what at the beginning was, oh, you know, he's this massive high flying, he's done this, he's done that. And obviously the surface, it was amazing. And when I looked into it, it was so nice to see the journey. And he's only a year older than me, the journey of what that looked like for him. So when I saw her in the gym this morning, I was like, hey, I looked into your uncle, and his journey's so interesting. I was like, I'd love half an hour with him. She was like, oh, he's up in a few weeks, I'll ask him. So I was like, oh my God, I'd love that. I've got like a million questions. So like, if he would, I'd absolutely love that. And again, it was not, rather than looking up to and going, God, he's achieved all this at that age, I looked into him and I was like, oh my God, I'd love to pick his brain. So if I do, obviously I'll keep you in the loop. But I just found it really, really interesting. Then it just shifts your frame of mind to, say, the people you see on Instagram, or the people that you see doing really well, or the ones that maintain discipline. And like, how, you know, people say to you all the time, how do you keep doing it? You get up at 3 a.m. to go and do that before you go there. Like, you hear all those bits. So whoever you look up to, you only ever see the surface level of anything. So there is always shit behind it, behind every person, every business, like literally everything. So it's just really, really nice to have that realization and that thought process recently, where I was like, I'm just going to spend a bit more time looking into them. So I enjoyed that. Look up, look into rather than just look up.
So rather than, it's almost like seeing things horizontally rather than vertically, isn't it? Because if you see everyone that's successful as above you and just look up to them, then you'll never be able to learn anything from them, because you're almost putting them on a pedestal that can never be achieved. Whereas if you see everyone as horizontal, we're all the same person with the same opportunities within reason. How did they get there, as opposed to, oh, look at them up there, then you're going to get more from it, aren't you? So.
Definitely. And also, if you look up to people, you decide what that journey looks like, because you don't
you have
look
no
at
idea.
it. You have no idea.
But that's what a lot of people do, don't they?
Yeah.
When someone works hard and is successful, they're like, oh, well, they had this, or oh,
they were born with, or that it's natural, or that they were given X. So that's why I was like, I'm just going to ask. I'm going to ask her if like he would give me half an hour.
Get him on here.
I'd love to. I'll ask him. Well, if he accepts the coffee. But yeah, she was like, yeah, no, I'd look like, I'll see what he says. But that's where it got me to thinking. I would have never have asked that. I would never have even dreamt of it, because I was like, everyone's got their own busy lives. And I thought, you know what, if someone asked me that now, and I had it recently, actually, one of the girls that I said I was on that podcast for, we've ended up having quite a few conversations since, because she was like, I find it so interesting what you do. So yeah, I just really liked that. So that was my top tip.
Very well.
Thanks. How did I do for my first one?
You did good.
Thanks. Have you got a top tip?
No.
Okay, fine.
I didn't come prepared. So what question we're doing?
I like best, but you can pick.
Go on.
So she said, if you had to pick one food to eat for the rest of your life, what would it be?
I'm going to let you answer that first. I need some time. It's a hard one, that, isn't it? Because
Chocolate.
Yeah, well, this is the thing. This is where I immediately go with it. I go to something terrible like pizza or something. But then it's like, if I had to eat that for the rest of my life, I'd be a miserable fat fucker. So then would the joy...
I wouldn't overthink it. I'd just pick food.
But I'm just thinking, would the joy of eating pizza for the rest of my life be overshadowed by the fact that I'd not be able to move, I'd have diabetes, and I'd be...
But you'd be happy while you're eating it. So it'd be pizza.
Yeah, but a specific pizza would be Giuliana's. From,
obviously.
You know, well, if we're doing this, we're doing it right. So Giuliana's in Brooklyn, New York, is the best pizza in the world, and it would be that.
You're still dreaming about it from recent.
Yeah, very much so. Still feeling it and all.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh dear. Oh, smashed it.
What about you? Just chocolate.
Just chocolate.
And the only reason I said that. Specific.
No, because I was going to say the only reason I said that is because the variants are so broad.
Bollocks. Well, what food would you eat for the rest of your life? Food. Like, come on.
Dairy milk.
Dairy milk, just plain dairy milk. Is that your favourite chocolate?
Although people keep telling me this Dubai chocolate with pistachio when it's meant to be amazing.
Do you want to do a taste test?
We'll have to do a taste. There's one at M&S apparently. Is it? Yeah, so I'll have to go and have a look.
Right, I think you've done very well by that.
Thank you very much.
It was good, and it was thought provoking as well.
Interesting.
And yeah, so
stay tuned.
Well done.
Thanks.